Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Disruption Podcast. Take 3, because it took 3 times, but this time is going to be the right one. It's your boy Anka Garg with my co-host
Ludwig Royal. What's up, everyone?
Today is extremely special because we have a guest who's been in my orbit for well over a decade. I've been watching her journey as an entrepreneur and as an influencer, but we've never had a chance to talk directly, so this is super exciting for me. So everyone, I'd love to introduce you guys to Christine Hronec.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Let's talk about this 2-hour commute. So right now you just came from Delaware.
Yes.
Have you always been there?
Yeah. Well, I'm in North Wilmington, like Wilmington, Delaware. I'm literally like 15 minutes from the Philly airport. So I just tell people Philly. Like I'm sure you guys might tell people New York.
Yeah.
Same thing.
No. I claim Jersey. I tell everyone I'm from the right side of the river.
There you go.
But Christine is an Eagles fan.
Yes. Go Birds.
Oh, God.
Go Birds.
It was a tough weekend. But it's okay. You're allowed to win one every now and then.
Yeah, so if you're watching this, the Eagles just beat the Giants. And I think Tommy DeVito's he's a wrap, right? Like
I think it's
DeVito
over.
Crazy
Yeah,
over.
I think it's done. But that's not Christine's fault.
No.
It's Jalen Hurts. That's his fault, right?
I suppose we can give him credit.
There you
I
go.
suppose. So let's tell everyone about Gage Girl and literally where did the name come from? Yes. What is it? Because it's kind of evolved over the years.
Oh, yes. I used to co-own a dietary supplement manufacturing company, and that was called Muscle Gauge Nutrition. And I started my own fitness journey during my time there. I was formulating products, developing products. One day I decided I wanted to drink the Kool-Aid and try it for myself. And so in, doing my own health journey, I remember it was like 2011, 2012. Instagram is like so new and so fresh. I'm sharing my journey. Everyone's loving it. And, here I am. I'm a food scientist. I own a manufacturing company. What am I doing like in the gym and competing? But I fell in love with it. I became addicted to it. And it didn't take long that everyone was asking me, what are you doing? How did you get here? And I had less than 1,000 followers at the time, and one day I said, hey, does everyone want to know what I did? I'll send you guys a free PDF. And at that point, I think like 80% of my followers said yes. And I got them all on a list, and before I knew it, in March of 2013, Gage Girl Training was born. It just happened. And through that process, I was doing it on the side by myself for a couple years. I ended up doing a Groupon in 2015, which shifted everything. I went from...
So hold on a second.
Yes.
Hey, to the young ones listening to this, Groupon was this site where brands and businesses would offer really heavily discounted things. Like if you wanted to go to like Massage Envy, you'd buy a Groupon for $20 to do the 1-hour session instead of doing whatever it was. Right. And there would be a Groupon for everything. And I don't think it exists anymore. Or if it does, I don't think anyone uses it.
It does, but it's not like the way it was back then.
Yeah, no way.
And, I went from working on about, let's say, 50 clients a month on my own on the side, which I thought I was making really good money on the side. But see, it went from 55 a month to over 200 a day.
What?
Yes, a day. Okay. And I needed to figure out how to automate it real fast.
What year is this? 2015?
2015.
From the Groupon?
Yeah, from the Groupon.
I talk about disruption marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Shreds was on Groupon. It was there. It? Yeah, of course it was.
And
what was the idea behind jumping on Groupon? How did you know it was going to work? Did you know it was going to work? Was it just a stab in the dark?
I had no idea it was going to work. One of my partners at the time had a contact over there. And I really loved what I was doing with Gage Girl. I loved the thing, as opposed to being in the manufacturing industry, and I know you have some experience with that, I loved that it was like a service. I didn't need any capital involved. It was just my blood, sweat, and tears. And I'm like, let me just see what happens here. And they did a test of 10 cities. I did really well, and then they put it national, and it was over 400 cities. And it blew up. It was like over 200 clients a day. I needed to figure out a solution real quick. I put an ad on Craigslist. I got a whole army of interns to help me. And that was a very pivotal year because I needed to learn how to scale really, really fast. Very, very fast. Fast forward towards the end of that year, a a really big influencer. She was a 2 times New York Times best-selling author. Did my program. And this is when like live streaming just started getting really popular online. Like you couldn't live stream back then, you know?
Yeah.
And do you guys remember Periscope?
Yeah, it was,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so
was that a Twitter product?
It was a Twitter product, and this author wanted to do my program, and she was doing one of my 12-week plans. She talked about it every day on Periscope for 12 weeks. Wow. So I had to get on there, and I was terrified, you guys. I wasn't big on YouTube yet. I had a YouTube channel, but I wasn't like how I am now. And I would be so nervous because when you would be on these live streams, you're like on the spot, you know, and like these comments are coming. Like it's really hard sometimes to keep your train of thought of what you want to say while questions are coming at you, and which questions do you answer directly, which ones do you kind of hold. And so what I would do, because I was so scared, I would research and prepare for like anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to do these periscopes, because I didn't want to sound like stupid. I didn't want to sound unprepared and like be like jambling my words. I got through that, and it was just going so well. I'd have like 300-400 people live. And like, you know, back then I didn't have a lot of followers. I'd say maybe no more than 20,000 followers at the time, you know?
This is 2016?
Yeah,
17?
this is 2016. That was my Instagram. On YouTube, it was less than 1,000.
Yeah.
And
people have to remember, this is a follower account before ads.
Yes.
And all that stuff existed. So this is organic following that you've had. And that was always one thing that I admired about your journey. It was always self-built, right? You didn't rely on paid to get to where you're at right now.
Yeah.
But I guess one question I have is, what is the number now? Because I know we're talking about the journey, and I feel like people need to understand how big of a deal you are and why we're putting you on the show.
Yeah, well, YouTube now, we're close to 400K.
Wow.
Well,
Watch out, Mr. Beast.
Yeah, well over.
Christine's coming.
Yeah, we're well over 30 million views. You know, I'm making a little bit of noise on TikTok. I'm still learning the vibe there. The vibe's completely different there than Instagram. Instagram, I'm like 117. But
Ludwig, you got like 6 or 7 of the choreographed dances down, right?
Every week it changes, so I got every Sunday I'm on a new set of TikTok dances.
Girl dad, if you don't know the TikTok dances, it's a problem.
I love it. But the thing that was the most pivotal for me was the practice of these live streams. I went live every day for 400 days straight. And this was from 2016 into 2007. I live. And
on Periscope?
Yeah, on Periscope every single day. And but the thing is, I loved it. Like, I felt like I was talking to my best friends every day. I'd just be talking to my followers every day. And I was like, Christine, you're spending all this energy to do great Periscopes that disappear in 24 hours. Why don't you start putting that energy into YouTube? And then I started to do that. But like with YouTube, I'm not sure if you guys know, it's a grind. Like, they will reward you, but like it takes time, consistency, patience. And I would do these videos where I said 1 quality video a week, and I would research for like 40 hours, put all my notes together, like it would take me a day to film, it would take my editor 2 days to edit, like, and all of that for 1 video. And then you watch it and it's like, you know, it's just so much effort. But with the consistency, I finally had a video go viral in 2016, and it was all about body types. And it was a game changer. That one video, it just opened the floodgates for people taking the rest of my content more seriously. And then they all started to like come up from there.
Do you remember? So what people don't know is when I met you because we did a photo shoot.
Yes.
And it was the first time I was introduced to Gage Girl training. And that, do you remember what year that was?
She wasn't your trainer.
She was not my trainer.
No.
But I guess you needed content at the time for either your website or what have you. What year was that?
That was 2016. Yeah, that's when all of this was bubbling up at the same time.
Yeah, because I did remember you had a little bit of a following back then in terms of the YouTube, and I was always like in awe of the hustle and the grind, because not only were you creating like this brand, but part of your brand is community engagement. Like that's where you put your eggs.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about like the genesis of like from the beginning to the Facebook groups to all that time that you invest, not just in content creation, but in also engaging with the audience?
Yeah, it came so naturally because of how my brand blew up. It blew up because I got to witness people who had a close following, like this author who kind of was my mentor in a way, and she just talked directly to her audience all the time. And it was that direct access, and especially once you could start doing the video, and like I got so comfortable doing it because I told you guys I was terrified, but I practiced it. I did it every day for 400 days straight. Like I feel very comfortable doing it now, but I used to be terrified. But the thing is, think about it, you guys. In a cell phone, you have the opportunity to directly talk to your ideal client.
Right.
You can have an exact conversation with them. You don't need to and the power in that, it just was so instantaneous that why would I stop doing that? It just worked. And I loved doing it and the more I did it, the more it worked, the more it worked, the more I did it. So it just became a very positive cycle.
Got it.
So do you know the number for the total customers that you've served?
It's north of 50,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
that is
north of 50,000. Amazing. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for how it all kind of came together.
So back then, were you doing nutrition and personal training, like getting them in the gym, telling them what weights to use and all that good stuff, or was it just nutrition?
I was doing online meal planning and coaching. There was a fitness aspect to it, but it's really interesting because back in the early days, that 2013 to 2015, when it was just me and my laptop, that type of a thing, back then, I was, because I used to do fitness competitions back then as well. Like my clients I didn't have anyone over 30. It was all girls who wanted to go from like a 2-pack to a 6-pack, those vanity pounds. But once my audience shifted towards, ladies north of 35 who just didn't want to hate themselves naked, there's so many other people that could be served out there. And I remember because I found you because you take all these amazing photos and I'd see these amazing aesthetic bodies and you're like, wow, I want to look like that. But for the average woman, those types of images, no offense, they intimidate people.
Oh, yeah.
You jerk. Why were you doing that, Ludwig?
It can be very intimidating.
Yeah.
And, it's crazy because I used to think that I needed to have like a contest lean body 24/7, 365. But as my body drifted away from that in my mind, I'm like, you're no longer goals. But yet my business keeps growing and growing and growing, and it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was such a really big eye-opening thing for me because, I'm my brand. I figure if I don't look like this perfect, ideal aesthetic, who's going to want to listen to me? But people are like, no, you're keeping it real. Like, you're in the struggle with us.
Yeah.
And obviously I guide them with scientific principles on what they need to be doing, but it's just so crazy. I would have thought that at my leanest, I would have been the most financially successful, but it didn't pan out that way.
It's funny you say that, not to talk about photography.
We can talk about your abs now? Is that what's about to happen?
Ankur's actually working on his last 2 vanity abs, right now in the gym.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
But yeah, I would get these, the amount of times I would get communication from clients that they didn't want to shoot with me because they didn't have the body that they thought they needed to have to get in front of my camera. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that. So you're 100% right. My photography is intimidating, even despite my best efforts for it not to be. But it's funny how women feel that way, right? They're like, all right, I don't want to shoot with him because I'm not ready. Well, you don't have to be ready. Like, you are who you are. Let's shoot that. So it's awesome that you're like kind of taking that approach to appeal to the every woman, right? Because everybody wants to get in shape no matter how far from shape they are.
And back to the connecting to the community aspect, though, people appreciate that authenticity and just that being real with it. I remember I had a phase where I was like, I've gained weight, but for the average woman, I'm healthy. But in my mind, for like the industry, the bodybuilding, it's completely different. And a lot of us had body dysmorphia, all that good stuff. But with that being said, as I was just transparent about my struggles, transparent about the fact that, I'm not going to be on a treadmill for 3 hours a day. I'm just not going to do it. And it was just so eye-opening about just teaching women how to love themselves at any size as you are, because the foundation of a healthy body needs to be one of self-love, not of self-hate. And there's a lot of toxicity in the fitness industry where, yes, somebody might look good aesthetically, but to what means did it take to get there? So.
Should I get vulnerable?
Yeah.
So, no, all jokes aside,
Yeah.
I mean, the imposter syndrome is real
Oh, yeah.
in the industry, right? So, me with shreds and everything that I had in fitness companies and everything I was going, I wasn't a guy with six-pack abs. I mean, I was athletic with my build and everything. But I remember the pressure of being around everyone else, right? When you have a Joey Swoll and an Arvin Law and everyone else around you, like shredded men.
Sure.
I mean, I got an HGH. It was the only thing that
really?
I thought, injecting it right into my stomach and everything else that you had to do. Just to try and melt out all that fat, and I was miserable. I was eating 1,200 calories a day, right, and just shooting up HGH and doing whatever else I had to do. But at the same time, I was working like 40-hour sprints. I would work 40 hours, sleep 6, and go right back, and it was tough.
But that's so unhealthy. It's a complete opposite of what health is supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know?
I can tell you right now, I'm a very happy man with my current size.
That's good.
But, you know, the camera does add 15 pounds, as Ludwig loves to point out to me every chance he gets. And I need to stop disrupting the camera glass, you know, with how wide I've been getting.
That's one way to disrupt.
I think I'm just at that age now, with just like, you know, with the women that are over 35 that don't want to hate what they look like naked.
Yes.
I'm afraid that when I have kids, I'm not going to be able to keep up with them because I'm going to have kids so late in life that's my number one concern about getting back into shape. So do you only help women?
No,
Yeah, that was my question.
No, I do work with men as well. Yeah, it's
Okay.
typically like the husbands and boyfriends that are kind of
Tagging along.
yeah,
So the Gage training partners.
so to speak. Yes, but
Okay.
it's primarily women.
So let's talk about what you offer, what your
Sure.
offering is. So you're still doing you're still doing the training
The
and
online
nutrition
coaching.
online coaching.
Yes.
And how large is that
What do you mean?
in terms of like how many people do you work with?
It depends. I mean, I can kind of like choose. Right, I'm at the
Okay.
point where I can choose whether or not I want to do that. So, right now it's funny. The clients that I work with, I want to serve all of them, and before, you know, sometimes back in the day you would just take on, but like I've you know, since drawn boundaries, I only
course.
take on so many, and I just enjoy it though, because I just have a much better work-life balance now than I used to.
Makes sense. And then in terms of the supplements, so you have an online coaching, you also have your own supplements.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Gage Life Nutrition Supplements started in 2019. Like I said, I used to own a dietary supplement manufacturing business, was dabbling in that area for a while, but I moved away from it because, you know, I was doing so well with Gage Girl that it kind of became almost disruptive to my ability to serve my clients. But it just got to a point where everyone's like, well, what supplement do I take? What supplement do I take? What supplement do I take? And I'm like, I don't trust anybody. Like, I don't trust anybody.
Yo, she's not kidding.
No, he knows. He knows what it is.
Back then it was tough, right? And when you're holding yourself liable for people's health and their nutrition, and people don't know the difference between isolate whey or casein or concentrate or whatever nonsense that's out there in the market in different variations. I mean, something as simple as like creatine monohydrate that's being pumped down people's throats right now on TikTok and everything else. It's not the best version of creatine for you.
No, it's not.
And so, I mean, Christine and I will tell you, there's way better versions. There's versions where they take creatine and they bond it with magnesium and then actually improves the absorption without the bloat, right? But like, are companies pitching that? No, they're pitching the dirt cheap creatine that they're getting from China or wherever else. And it might have a brand associated with it, but isn't what's best for her clientele.
Yeah, and it's not even that. It's just from being on the manufacturing side, like a lot of manufacturers don't necessarily manufacture to label claim. As you guys know, the FDA allows like a 20% variance with regards to
What's on the label?
Yeah, but even then, I've seen those things taken to extremes. I've like had to reverse engineer probably over 2,000 products. I've I know what every single brand tastes like. It's so funny because if I taste like a dimetized vanilla or like a muscle, like I can already, oh, that's this flavor, da 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 da. Like,
Wow.
but anyway, I didn't trust recommending any specific brand. So I'm like, well, I need to make my own brand.
I messed up in life.
Yeah.
I should have called Christine. But I got a brand for you. We're good. Man.
Yeah, and the problem with all of that is I didn't want to get back into supplements again because like I just, I've had a lot of like headaches with it in the past, but I love my clients. They're like my family. They're like I couldn't not offer them something, and obviously I've only launched products that I knew people actually needed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you see how sometimes you see like a product out there, and I'm sure you guys can read between the lines with these products. But like, for instance, what's that popular one? Shakeology, right? They got like a 2-pounder meal replacer. It's like 50% protein. It's like north of what? $150 for a 2-pounder. And it's only 50% protein, and it's just got like, and I'm not trying to like throw shade at anyone's brand right now.
Oh no,
like,
throw the shade. Shakeology, shame on you for charging that much.
But it's just like, this is such BS. If you're looking at like cost per ounce of protein or cost per, it's just, and people take it because they don't know what they're looking for. They don't know what they're supposed to be looking for. They don't know like, oh, what, 50% protein? That's not good. Like, no, that's not. Like,
well, let me ask you this question. So with your audience and the people that you're talking to, I've come across my audience where they're going to be like, well, no, this brand is selling me this, and this brand has 10,000 reviews, but you're telling me that this product isn't good, but everyone else is saying that it is good. How do I overcome this? Do you deal with that type of problem?
I don't. Okay. I guess the reason why I don't is I've built trust with my audience over the years, and I tell them all right away, you don't need to take my product. Don't want it. Don't take it. Go ahead. Eat 6 ounces of chicken. Like, eat 10 ounces of egg whites. If you want to, do it. I'm telling you, this is a convenient, economical way, but to me, you can take it or leave it. And like, I'm not sweating to sell you a product. If you don't want it, then don't take it. I create products to make it more convenient and accessible for you to access nutrients that are hard to get through real food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and there's actual value to that, Like, trust me, I would rather drink a shake than have to, every time, like, trying to hit your macros, like, do you really want to sit
if
here?
You're busy.
Yeah, like, do you really want to sit here and eat that much chicken breast or this? It's a lot, and it can be very overwhelming, especially if you're trying to get north of 150 grams of protein per day. It's just a lot. So, for instance, I started doing that with the proteins, and then again, back to that dialogue I have with my clients, that's how I even ended up in the hormone health space, because we started talking about, my clients are like, hey, I'm having this issue. Hey, I'm having this issue. And it's all live and we're talking about it. And I said, you know what, you guys, would you guys ever want to learn how to like reset and rebalance your hormones naturally? And everyone's like, oh my goodness, yes. And that was one of the really cool things that I've always done. Anytime I've ever launched a new program, I was never like, I'm going to do this. I talked to my people about it. Hey, what do you guys think about this? Or I was thinking about, but like the interaction is so organic and natural that when someone's presenting a problem, it's so natural for them to buy the solution in the form of the program that I've built just for that. But the only problem with that is I have to move fast, like on my end, to maintain all the content creation, maintain all of that, and to create all this stuff. Like,
So how are you doing that? Let's talk about this, because again, nutrition, you're selling supplements, and then on the back end, you're creating content for YouTube. You have close to 400,000 subscribers. What's your day look like? How are you creating this content? Who's involved?
So it's basically me and an editor. It's
really
me and
still?
It's just me and an editor. And as TikTok started to become more popular in the last, obviously it's been around for a while, but I feel like we're at the point, if you're not on TikTok, you're dead, so to speak. And I saw you on there on my recent contact. You don't have an account yet. It says you may know Ludwig, but da 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 da. I'm like, well, where's his page? Anyway, I'm just busting you. The thing I like about TikTok is it's very organic. It's very like storytelling oriented. It's very just raw, no filter. And it used to make me mad because I would do content days. I would do like 1 or 2 content days a week. I would get my hair done, I'd get my makeup done, I'd be polished, and I'd batch film. But then sometimes you get an idea for a piece of content because maybe you saw something online you want to respond to or something you want to talk about. And I'd do these things. I'm just coming from the gym. My hair's a mess. I have no makeup on, and I'll do a response. And then that's the video that like has to hit like 500,000, 1 million views. I'm like, why can't it be when I was like done up that day? But again, it's the authenticity because I genuinely had something to say. And I'm at the point now where like makeup, no makeup, I don't even care. Like if I have something to say, I just will pop on and talk about it. And I feel like there's something about TikTok that lowered that pressure for me. I can't explain it because it's a different vibe over there. It's a little bit more casual. I'm not sure if you make anything over there, but there's just less resistance because you don't feel like you need to be perfect to make content over there.
What's your following on TikTok now?
It's like 54,000.
Wow.
But I'm not doing anything. Like I need to get back to it.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's not my main focus.
So being as popular as you are when it comes to women's health and women's fitness and like the regimens and everything, was there a moment in the past decade where you were just like, wow, this movement is kind of bigger than who I am today? Like, I remember for me, I got recognized in TSA trying to walk into an airport, and like I was just like, well, that's crazy for me. Was there something like that for you?
I've had a few of those moments. It was actually funny. I was in an Amex lounge in Miami, and someone's like, Gage Girl. And it was so funny because I was getting some coffee, but I was about to grab a cookie too. And I'm like, I guess I probably shouldn't be grabbing that cookie. And I've had a few moments of that. And I find it's an honor. It's an honor because the work that I do, it serves people. It like helps them lead better lives. I can't tell you how many women who've been like, you've saved my life, or, and this is going to sound kind of like whatever, but the husbands be like, you saved our marriage. You have no idea. Like, and it's just when someone's genuinely struggling with their fitness or with their body image, you feel terrible. Your self-esteem's low, your confidence is low. And I'm not trying to sound corny, but like some people need just a little bit of encouragement. They just need to be told what to do. They need to be pushed a little bit. But as a result, these people can now live their best lives. And I have had some of my most successful clients, they have gone on to become coaches. They have gone on to like do such wonderful things. Some of them have become models. Some of them are gym owners now. Like their lives have just completely been transformed. And there's nothing more exciting than just seeing somebody learn how to love themselves enough to be disciplined in the way they take care of themselves.
That is beautiful.
It's the highest form of self-love. It is. It absolutely is. And I'm sure like you guys know, like we're all entrepreneurs here. You ever have those seasons where you're tired, you're grinding, you're putting in all the hours, but like you're not taking care of yourself.
Yep.
You feel like crap. You guys know what it is.
I'm in one of those right now.
Yeah. But the thing is though,
I'm here. Yeah.
The thing is like you can't pour from an empty cup and you know it. And nothing's okay if you're not okay. And I've really shifted my why from wanting to look like this shredded, svelte body to, I want to be mentally well. I want to be calm. I want to be peaceful. I want to have energy. And then I can take care of everybody else. But if I'm not okay, I don't care about anybody else anymore. And not to be selfish, but it's just, I need to be okay.
How long, actually, scratch that. If we're going to talk about marketing,
sure,
which is what we do, what would you say is the thing that kind of helped you break through? Was it innovating on the hormones, hormone talk, or like what was it that got you to the next level marketing wise?
I think it was listening to the voice of the customer. When I used to work in DuPont, this is before I got in the manufacturing thing, we did this Six Sigma training and all that kind of stuff, and I did product development. And the number one step in product development is voice of the customer. You have to understand the voice, and you have to understand who your customer is. And I know you guys have seen this in marketing, because I've worked with marketing companies in the past. They want you to create that avatar. Who is that true voice of your customer, right? And I could literally close my eyes and think of them. I'm like, well, I have Lori, I have Jessica, and I know these women intimately. I know their fears. I know their desires. I know what keeps them up at night. And I was able to connect to them at a level that they would tell me, it feels like you're inside my head. Like, how do you know me that well? And even just like the language and the words, but I'm telling you, it was just becoming intimate with the thoughts of my clients. Now, obviously, I did the emails, did all of that. Yes, I would create my science-y content, but it was lacing that with these personal little live stream pep talk type things I would just do every day. And it was never like this. It wasn't like one day everything was different. I just kind of like, I woke up one day and I'm like, dang, I'm here now. It just kept growing.
Would you say that right now, if you would divide your business into what gives you the most in terms of revenue, would it be the supplements? Would it be the online coaching? Are you monetizing on YouTube?
Yes, I do monetize on YouTube. It does well. The YouTube shorts don't pay out as much as the videos and the live streams, but I would still say my online coaching business is still the bread and butter. But the supplements, it's getting really close. It's getting really close. Yes.
Awesome. And what about you're published too, right?
Yes.
Hardcover and ebooks.
Yes. I launched a book in 2022. It's so crazy to say that because I've been writing this book since 2015. It's called Unlock Your Macro Type, and I have been rejected so many times. I've had multiple publishers, finally got paired with the right one. You guys, I had to rewrite this book 7 times. Like, the first edition was over 500 pages, and I did all the food photography myself, Ludwig. I took photo classes and everything. And my first publisher said, we can't use these photos. I said, why? They're not in RAW.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, okay, I did them all over again. So I did them all over again, and they found something else wrong. Did it all over again. They found something else wrong. And I'm like, you know what? I just wasn't going to give up because I felt like I had so much to say about macros and how to figure out the best way to fuel your body, and I wasn't going to give up. And finally, I got paired with the right people that made it happen, and HarperCollins offered me a book deal. And this is actually in 2020 I got offered my book deal. And you'd think like the world was shut down. Yeah, but no, that wasn't the case. And during the pandemic, my business did even better, believe it or not, because everyone's stuck at home and they want to work on their health, I guess. Yeah. But yes, so my book came out in March of last year. It did really well. It's, Barnes and Noble, like Target, all that good stuff. But it just means a lot, especially now that it's like international. There's like a Spanish version of it too. Awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wait, do you have an audio version?
Yes, I do have an audio. Yes, I had to be in a studio for days reading that book.
Really?
Yeah, it took forever, but it was very, very gratifying.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, you were on this journey. You're disrupting because you're creating this great big audience of people who actually just believe in the authentic version that you're putting out. But there's so many competitors. They're trying to steal the stuff that you do. How did you handle that uphill battle of knowing that people are literally copying your program, maybe joining your system and then seeing what you do and then just regurgitating it back out?
I don't really worry about that. Like, if anything, I take that almost as a compliment because I know what differentiates me from the competition, and that's my science background. I'm a biochemical engineer. I have a bachelor's and master's. I worked in industry for DuPont and biotech. I've done joint research with MIT and Harvard and you're not competing with me. Like, I'm not trying to sound arrogant. It's just I know my shit. So it's just I know it well enough to translate it to somebody, and I have the empathy to help them get to where they need to get. So, I don't even think about that, honestly.
Okay. I love that answer.
I don't. I just, it just doesn't bother me. It's not even something that phases me.
What I notice a lot with disruptors is that when they start getting copied, they start feeling this pressure to innovate faster so that they leave those copycats, so fast in their rearview mirror that they don't affect them at all. But it doesn't seem like you have that problem.
I don't. Well, because the thing is, when I do these lives and people ask me questions, because I've had so many people come to me from the mega influencers, the brand names we all know, right? But if they ask, well, why am I doing this? Well, why? why should I not go low carb, or why should I go low carb, or why is Ozempic bad for me, or why is it good for me? Like, they can't answer those questions, and I can break it down into the context for this person. And once someone sees me demonstrate that, especially I do it live all the time, my DMs are flooded with just people who want to have real conversations.
I want to have a real conversation around Ozempic right now because
sure.
I it's in the news.
Yes.
Everybody's doing it. Celebrities are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take?
It's funny. I just had a meeting with a client this morning. She asked me if I think she should be on it. And this client of mine is diabetic. She's type 2 diabetic. And I wanted to kill her at one point because I can't get her to stick to anything. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, listen, we can follow a meal plan, or you can do some flexible dieting with your macros, but you have to pick one or the other, right? And she's really struggling to do either. And then I told her, I said, look, we're going to pause your program until you're really ready to commit. We restarted. She's like, Christine, should I go on Ozempic? I'm like, well, you are diabetic. Here's the thing. It slows gastric emptying. It's going to make you feel full on less calories. It's designed for type 2 diabetics. This client of mine is type 2 diabetic. Should she take it? It can really dial down that food noise, and it can help. Now, for people trying to look like a Kardashian and all that kind of stuff, I don't think it's going to be wise. It is a Band-Aid approach, but you can do what you want. There are risks. There are side effects. People are dying from it. There are things in the news that are saying, but again, this is where it's really careful. I have to be very careful because I am not a doctor.
Right.
I am not a doctor. But I've had a lot of people who are coming off of it who are like, I can't do that. Because it basically takes away food pleasure because you're just not hungry.
Yeah.
And it's going to change your life. And yes, you will lose weight. Yes, you will be smaller. But at what cost?
Right.
And
then what happens when you come off of it?
You're going to gain it back. Yeah. You will absolutely, unless your habits change. But I do think that there are folks who, and when I say, I'm talking folks who have more than 50 pounds to lose. If you're kind of in that category and you're diabetic, I think that it's worth a discussion with your doctor.
Right. Good answer.
Well, I mean, if we're going to dial into Ozempic, we got to dial into what do you think is the number one hurdle for people to start their fitness journey?
This concept that they need to be perfect. It's the all or nothing. People think that if I do this, I'm going to miss out on date night. I'm going to miss out on bachelorette parties. I'm going to miss out on the joy that I receive from food. And the thing is, I tell people that's not what we're doing. We are establishing your new normal. This isn't about saying no to pleasure. We're saying no to pain. Because if you keep just eating the same things over and over and over again, spiking your blood sugar, it's not serving you, you're not going to feel good. And a lot of people need to understand that a healthy lifestyle isn't punishment. It's freedom. It's freedom. It's not punishment. And helping my clients reprogram that logic, I mean, I have to pound it into their heads weekly during our one-on-ones, but then, we text back and forth between calls as well. So I think it's this concept that you need to be perfect. And I tell them it's all or something, not all or nothing. You don't have an hour to do a workout, do a 20-minute workout. Do a 15-minute workout. You can't tell me you can't find 15 minutes to go for a walk. I call BS.
Yeah.
And people need that tough love, though. They need to be called out. You do have the time. I've had clients, you guys, who will invest in my top-tier coaching, right? I'm talking single moms, 2 kids, multiple jobs, and yet they still find a way. My most successful clients, they're not the richest people. They're not the most resourceful people. They are the people who will just show up and really want it. Yeah. They really want it. I'm sure you guys see that stuff all the time. Yep. It's like, who wants it bad enough?
So do you have a secret sauce for teaching discipline?
No, you can't teach discipline. You can guide someone, you could lead them, you can call them out on their stuff, but it comes down to the person. It comes down to the person. I've had somebody buy a 1-year program with me, never showed up to a single meeting. Never. It's I'll take your money if you want to. But it's like the gym. Think of the gym memberships.
Yeah.
How many people have gym memberships that just don't go.
Paying $55 a month.
Don't look at me, Ludwig. It's not me. I go to the gym.
Wait, see, you have a membership to a big membership. What's that?
Yeah, lifetime.
Jesus
lifetime.
Christ.
Right. Look at the comment section for my referral code. Just kidding.
There you go.
So how do you scale? What's next?
What's next? That is a really great question. What's next is I'm writing my next book, which is going to be about hormone health. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about hormones for women and men. Because so many times people think it's an excuse, right? If they're like, oh, it's my hormones, da, 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 da. Like, there's a lot more to it than that. And I'm breaking down, helping people understand how their cortisol, how their estrogen, how their sex hormones, their libido, like how it all ties in together, and how you should shift your nutrition as a result of that. And it's really unfortunate because doctors right now, like, if there's an imbalanced hormone, the number one thing they want to do is put women on birth control. And to me, birth control is fine for contraceptive use, but they're using it as a Band-Aid for PCOS, estrogen dominance, endometriosis. That's not what it was built for. And I'm helping people understand, well, what should you do instead? What does work? And it's eye-opening because, and back to what you're talking about being disruptive, people don't talk about this stuff. And I think that's one thing I've become very good at is identifying the gaps in the continuum of what knowledge is out there and finding where the gaps are, finding the disconnects. I mean, there's so many things that just becomes recycled and regurgitated over and over again, but I think a way to stand out is to provide value in helping people connect dots in a way that they haven't been able to before.
Mm-hmm.
What's crazy is, like, growing up, I'm sure you were wondering, like, why doesn't this exist, right? This type of content, this type of face in the industry and everything. I mean, sometimes we just have to go become that person for everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, you've successfully done that in such a great way. It's awesome. I mean, I've seen your journey, and I'm like, I think I might have logged into Periscope and like viewed a few things, but I've seen other pieces of content where I was just like, wow, she's so smart. And I'm just like, okay, this is cool. It's really different from what I'm used to seeing. And then the thing that I've always found amazing about you was the way other people talk about you is definitely inspiring. And I mean, I hope other people talk about me the way they talk about you, but like you're one person within like the scope of the industry that I've never heard anything negative about you. And I mean, that's disruptive in its own right amongst the rest of us entrepreneurs.
You know what it is, though? I think that if you just mind your business and, you know, when I'm online, it's all business. Like, I'm talking about solving problems. And I think some influencers, you know, you're not going to be the next Kim Kardashian. No one cares about your personal life that much. Right. I mean, there are some people that I'm sure can break through into that. But for most of us, focus on providing value. Like, you know, and I think that when you're more focused on value, like a lot of the noise just kind of settles. Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like sometimes I've seen it, unfortunately, I'm sure you guys have seen it too, where people start introducing all their personal business and their this and their that. And it's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary. Like, unless like you're hosting a fan club of yourself, you know, like, but it's that I've always kept it business.
So for people that want to learn more about you and what you do, what's the best way to get a hold of you? And then I'm asking this particularly because you probably have levels of membership of, you know, who gets how much access to you and everything that goes with that. Let's break all that down because you're probably one of the first in the industry to do it the way that you're doing. And you've had to scale, right? And I'm sure the model was different in 2014 than it's different again in 2020. What's it like today?
So there's obviously the top tier, like the one-on-one online coaching. You get a weekly Zoom video with me. We text back and forth. If you do one of my challenges, it's a weekly group Zoom meeting where like I'll field everybody's questions in the group. And I'll engage with folks in my private Facebook group, responding to their questions and whatnot. And then beyond that, if anyone has a question, so what I'll do is if anyone DMs me and you want clarification on your health, I will clarify for you to the point of pointing you to the right program. But if you want more than that, you have to buy a consultation. So those are like the three main levels.
So like joining the community, right, and getting access to like the Facebook group
And the weekly Zoom calls for the challenge. Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of like the one-on-one consulting, I mean, what happens when you hit like max bandwidth? Like there's got to be
a waiting list.
There's a waiting list? Is there a waiting list right now?
At this time, no, there is not a waiting list at the moment. But the thing is, it's just like I was telling you guys just a little bit earlier, like if I'm not okay, no one's going to be okay. Like I've worked myself into the ground, and it happened between 2017, 2018. I was in the hospital and I was so effing burned out. Like business is crazy, like doing very, very well. Doesn't matter. And the thing is, I at that time, I didn't want to train any of my staff to coach. I didn't want to, like, I was doing it all. But then, you know, I'm like, Christine, if you're going to grow, you have to do this. You have to trust people. You have to let other people in. And then, you know, now I have like support staff, operations. I have, you know, staff of nutritionists who help me and whatnot. And that was a really big shift as well.
That's amazing. I mean, okay, so this idea of wait list, Ludwig, we got to steal this. All website guys from now on need to be put on a wait list.
Put on a wait.
pay your deposit to hold your slot, and we'll see what happens.
We're busy. Yeah.
No, just put. But the thing is, though, it's true though. If you're busy, you're busy. Like, and it also just shows the demand.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
Like, because if you're worth working with, people will wait, people will save up, and you kind of need to get rid of that fear. Well, what if they don't wait? Oh well, it wasn't meant to be. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It wasn't meant to be, and like I don't operate in that mode. Like, it's just the right customers, the right clients, they're going to be attracted to my content. And I trust and believe in that. And I'm grateful, though, because people, by the time they work with me, they already have had a good dose of my personality, so they kind of know what to expect.
I have a question. What aspect of your business are you having trouble with or struggling with, whether it's on the marketing side or on the manufacturing
side? That's a
a
great question. And I would say the biggest struggle I deal with is burnout. For instance, this past year has been a really challenging year. My dad has cancer, and we were going through chemo. And as you guys know, when you're a content creator, like, you are the energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And even if I'm filming it and batch filming, it doesn't even matter. So I think that, you know, sometimes I don't want to fake it with my people. I don't want to be the person who's like fake smiling and, you know, not okay. So like sometimes I'll just retreat a little bit, if that makes sense, you know, when I'm not in the mood. But you can only do that for so long before things slow down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'd say maintaining that consistent level of genuine enthusiasm. But then at the same time, I've told my clients in my private group, I don't put that out on like my main stuff because I don't know you guys type of a thing. I said, hey guys, I'm going through some stuff. And my clients were very sympathetic. They're sending prayers out, that type of stuff. And that was a big weight off of my chest to just kind of tell, because like I said, I don't like to get personal with my content. And I can allow people to know me without knowing my personal life. You guys know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
But I would say, you know, sometimes when you're going through personal stuff that's heavy, being able to maintain that energy that you really need to can be tough. Yeah. You know, and like I said, I've been doing this online content stuff since 2011. So, you know, I had probably a solid 11 years of like bang, 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 bang. But, you know, stuff happens. So.
Well, I mean, 2024 is going to be a significantly better year for all of us.
Yes.
And I'm really excited for getting an understanding of this is the direction their industry is going in. And for people like yourself and people like us that are actually disrupting in our spaces, I feel like this show is just this like cool opportunity for us to get to highlight our journeys and talk about stuff that happened. And then hopefully, you know, this is kind of a reminder to you that you're not alone in dealing with those types of struggles that you just talked about. I mean, Ludwig and I have those moments all the time as well, right? And I mean, to be honest, for me, it's probably my health and fitness that controls it the most, right? So if I'm feeling down, but I have like a good meal or I go get a good workout in, I mean, it's what resets me.
That's
when
fantastic.
I come back. And I'm sure you have your system and your approach. And Ludwig, just like just looks at his abs in the mirror, and he feels so much better about it right immediately after.
Singular, no ass on that.
We call that a keg.
Yeah. I look at my keg in the mirror, and I'm happy. It makes me happy, and then I bounce back.
Just don't rub it. There's no good luck that comes from rubbing the keg. But no, it's awesome. I'm so glad that you came on the show.
I'm so grateful.
This is such
here.
a cool opportunity to get an understanding of your journey. And I mean, I knew about your credentials, but like hearing you talk through it, it just like resonates even more why your audience loves you, and like the people that have supported you through the years, they've probably been with you for a very long time. And this idea of community generation is what's next.
It absolutely is. People, especially in this day and age, like as adults, especially for women, it's hard to make adult female friends. Like it is so hard. Like so many men that I'm acquainted with, they're like, my chick has no friends. Like she doesn't have, like, can she just go get a life and do something and not be up under me all the time? But when women are struggling with their weight, it's really hard to find other like-minded people that are going to encourage you and lift you up, because when you are tracking your macros and you are trying to get your steps, like the average person in your household probably isn't on that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like you need other people who are like, well, what else can I have a snack on to hit my macros for the day? Or you see somebody else in the community. You see Jane, who just did her post-workout selfie, and it's in our private Facebook group, and they're like, dang, she did her workout already. I didn't do mine yet. Yeah. So it's like, you know, it's a lot of positive interactions. And I have ladies who have become friends in my group, who've been like in each other's weddings, who have been like, I mean, just, you know, lots of like deep friendships have formed as a result. It's really cool.
Have you thought about moving that to like an app, in a Gage Girl app?
I have tried this so many times and have wasted so much money doing it, because like I've tried to do a few pre-made DIY halfway there, and then versus the cost of developing it from scratch, like Ludwig, I have wasted so much money trying to do that. I love it. I want to do it, but I haven't figured out how yet.
Gotcha. Understood.
What about in-person events?
I've done that. Pre-COVID, we used to do retreats. I've done talks in New York, Philly, Chicago, LA, Arizona. I love doing live talks. I love it. I last year when my book came out, Drexel, I went to Drexel in Philadelphia. They hosted me there. I did a really big talk. They had a big book signing event, and it was awesome. It was so cool. We live streamed it. It was really nice.
Are there any of those coming up in 24?
I would like to. It's been really tough with my dad's health this past year, but I would love to get back to it once that stuff settles down.
Okay. Well, if one happens locally, I want an invitation.
Yes. Absolutely.
We'll be the men cheering really loud.
Two guys in the crowd.
No.
Well, two abs over here.
We should definitely plan something in 24. Definitely.
That'd be awesome.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Christine, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
It's been another great episode of the Disruption Podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for
thanks for having me, guys.
Proud of you. Happy for you. This was awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you.
Bye.